on the Overland Podcast. How is everybody tonight? Everybody doing good?
We good, man.
Oh, we're
We
good.
doing good. How are you, buddy?
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to have to figure out how to, let's see, how am I going to, oh my goodness.
How's this going live on this new Instagram thing?
Yeah,
How's that going to
I
work?
don't know how to mute it. How do you mute this? How do you mute
Oh,
this? I'm going to have to learn how to mute this. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, wait. Can you hit right there? This is going to be interesting. Wait.
I had to close it because I was hearing it in my ears too.
I know. I'm hearing it in my ears twice. Let's
Yeah, so for you
see.
guys tuning
Mute
in
stop.
here,
There we go.
this
All
is
right.
new.
I got it. I
You
got
got
it.
it right
I
on.
got it. Man, it took me a minute. That was the first time. But I didn't know how to mute a tab instead of muting the whole deal. So if you're
Uh,
joining us here at the beginning, you saw some technical issues. But
yeah.
uh, hey, Benji, hey, appreciate you being on here, Triple Hope. Oh
Hey,
man,
buddy.
yeah, my wife's on here. Hey, good to have you on here, babe. I know she's wrapping presents and listening to the show. This is going to be a pretty cool show. I was going down through some of the things that we had talked about over 2023, season six, and man, I got pretty excited to reminisce because you got to know where you've been to know where you're going.
That's right.
And man, I look back on where we've been, and it's it's pretty cool. It's
Right.
pretty cool to see where we've been and where what we got coming up and what we got going on. So anyway, thank you for joining us. You are live on the Overland Podcast, brought to you by Professor the Bats and friends. Here we go. Thank you for joining us on the Overland Podcast, brought to you by Professor Bats and Friends. We love to talk about it all. The gear we like to use, the places we like to go, and the things we like to do. Sometimes we'll have guests. Sometimes it'll be just us. You never know what you might get. But you always have Bats Off-Road and the Professor. Thank you for joining us. No pros, just bros on this show. Here we go. All right, and if you're joining us for the first time ever on Instagram, I see that we have a few people that have actually joined us on there, and I appreciate that. Um, your comments, if you comment on Instagram, we'll have to go back and forth to see if anybody's commented over there, but they will not be live as just like they are on Facebook or YouTube. But that's cool because I'm excited that we are actually able to do that. First time ever that StreamYard has let us do that. So
I know. I know.
pretty
Being
cool.
on Instagram is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I'm enjoying. Let's see, I got this in yesterday. My new Brew Trek French press. This is pretty amazing. Um, I actually showed Tony this a while ago, but I've been drinking out of this. Okay, so this is a French press. It's got the little thing right there, and look, it is completely spill proof, even with the French press. That just impresses me. Anyway, I got me some Logic Overland coffee in here, gonna pep me up a little bit. I have Wise Willie, which
Right
is
on.
making me wise. Every word I say gets wiser because I've
Yeah.
got Wise Willie in the cup.
Kind of reminds me of Arla's favorite country singer, Willie Nelson.
I heard him talk about Willie on the radio today. He's 90, still doing concerts.
Yeah.
That blows me away. I can't believe that.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Have you got your Christmas shopping done?
No.
Hmm.
No. Yeah, I mean, you know me. I'm running along here acting like Christmas ain't in less than a week. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a mad scramble this weekend, just like always.
Well, I think it's crazy. Gia came home and she said, I came home and the Amazon lady was here delivering some packages, and I went and took PJ out, was back there with her for a long time, and came back, and the Amazon lady was still putting packages on our front porch. And
Oh, wow.
she said she just went and apologized to her. Sorry, you've been here so long. Sorry, I don't know if we your only stop or whatever, but I think we're done. I think we're done. I think we got everything that we need. All the girls are bought for. All the in-laws and cousins and uncles and all that. Uh, uh, I know Tony has no glasses. I don't know how he's able to see. How in the world?
Yeah, so if I sit up close like this, I'm within range and my eyes work at this distance. If I try to wear my glasses, I have to back up.
Hmm.
So it's
Well,
sort of a weird distance. Kind of helps keep
it
the glare off too.
it's a weird distance for me as well, because I usually wear readers because I can see everything farther than about 15 inches and then anything up close. But it's funny, if I wear readers when I'm doing the podcast, I'm constantly having to look down and up to read the comments and down and up to read the comments.
Hmm.
So I've just got on straight readers for
Yeah.
or otherwise I can't see nothing. It's all just a blur.
Well, I
It
mean,
looks
that's
like
the way these are. Mine are progressives or no line progressives, and um, the focal point for them is behind my monitor.
mm,
Like so I have to
yeah,
with them. I have to back up like that. Anyway,
yeah. You look like Beetlejuice there for a
yes,
minute, so we don't want to do that.
right on.
Well, man, today's a good day. I got one more day of work, and then we're off for right at about 2 weeks. So, pretty excited about that. We're going to do the last trip of the year, going to Northwest Arkansas to see family, and then Christmas with my family on the 25th. And then we're leaving at midnight on the 25th and going down to Big Bend National Park to do some backpacking hiking stuff.
Nice,
See, going
nice.
into Boquillas this time for the first time since we have our passports. Baby, if you're listening, don't forget we need our passports. We cannot forget our passports on that trip. So that's going to be pretty cool. In fact, I told her I would love to stay in Boquillas a night. I think that'd be pretty cool to stay in Mexico for a night.
Right,
And
that'd be cool. Hey,
it's
can we go live? Can we do a quick podcast from Bokias?
maybe
Yeah.
I'm not sure how the internet is down there. When we're at Coyote Crossing, we tried to do a podcast one time with somebody. Who was that? Um,
Well, it was Matt and Kara, wasn't it?
yeah, we
They,
tried to do a podcast with them, and it just kept going in, going out, going in, going out, going in. We walked and tried to get on a little hill, and it still wouldn't work. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a deal.
I
We'll
thought
see.
that was so fun.
Yeah,
I about fell
I'm
off a cliff and died, but yeah,
definitely gonna be able to try out the Wii Boost down there because we have a
yeah,
little bit of cell service there at Coyote Crossing. We're gonna park the trailer there, and then
okay,
we're gonna have our backpacking stuff on the river road. And if we go to Boquillas or whatever, so we'll have everything we need.
right
And
on.
I think it'll be pretty cool. Pretty cool. So that's what we're gonna do to end the year. Y'all got any plans other than working?
No, just working away, seeing family, seeing you guys, but we don't really have anything planned per se. Got some stuff coming up in January. We'll talk about that, but yeah, just working, man.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Redbeard Sasquatch is on here from Michigan. Hope the weather up there is good. You
Uh,
probably have more of a Christmas looking weather than what we have down here.
right. Y'all
It's
got any
been
snow up
foggy
there?
and cold. I wonder if it's been cold up there in Michigan.
Gee, as long as it's not a Mexican prison.
Yeah, she said I'm not a really big fan. I almost got put in a Mexican prison one time when I was 18, and so that's a story for another day. But that was pretty cool. That's one of the ones that's going to go in my book when I write it.
Right on.
My parents let me take a senior trip with my best friend. Both of us were 18. We went by ourselves to Mexico.
Oh wow,
Yeah, that was
that's
smart.
pretty brave.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that again. That's kind of brave. I wouldn't do that.
I didn't hardly get out of my small town at 18.
Man, I
Much
started
much
world
less.
traveling at 18 and just went from there. It was pretty cool. So I wanted to have this podcast. This is the last one we're going to do probably before the end of the year. We may be able to squeeze another one in, but see, a week from yesterday is going to be Christmas Day, and so don't know. We'll probably be traveling all day next Tuesday. We'll hopefully get down there about 2 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock, um, down to
Coyote
Terlingua.
Crossing. Yeah,
Yeah, down there around Terlingua. Study Butte, I think, is exactly where it's at.
that's right.
Going to be taking the Subaru on its first trek and pulling the Tiger Moth with the Subaru. So
Right
I'm
on.
pretty excited about that.
Right on.
Yeah. But I wanted to recap what we've done this year, everything that we've talked about. We have really put in a lot of time behind the mic this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to talk about. You said you had so many events that you went to this year, along with going, uh, along with doing all the podcasts. Jason, Kate, appreciate you being on here, experiencing
Hey,
Arkansas. Great YouTube channel there. Make sure you sign up. Experiencing Arkansas, good people, good people.
that's
We've
right.
camped with them several times. So in January, we started out talking. We did a Happy New Year. What's in store for 2023? That was the very first one that we did. I was starting out or finishing up. I can't remember if I had done any in the fall of 2022, but I had just backpacked the Ozark Highlands Trail, and I did about 4 podcasts on that where I told about the days and what we had done, and that was a pretty substantial time in my life because I had lost a bunch of weight. I was really wanting to get into backpacking, and that was the first big backpacking trip that I did, and I was really doubting myself whether I could do it or not. And
Yeah.
so when we went out there, and I was able to keep up and had a great time. Really got the bug for it. That was pretty substantial. So that was what we talked about in January, and then we really took off in February. Overlanding misconceptions was the first one that we did in February. We talked about what people think about overlanding, people think overlanding is, and then what it actually is.
Yeah. And what the word overlanding meant to different people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what it means, and that you don't have to have all the gear, and that you don't have, and there's a misconception out there that you have to buy all this other stuff. Now we really want people to go to Okie Overland and buy everything that they have in the store for Christmas and give it to all your friends and family and for yourself. But you don't have to do that. If you've got whatever, just go out and experience it, and you'll learn what you need by when you go. So that
You
was
know,
what we talked about.
I want to back up for a second. You asked me a minute ago if we had any plans over the holidays, and I think probably one day next week after Christmas, maybe like Thursday or Friday, and talking about Okie Overland and what they've got going on there. I'm gonna I'm gonna convert my diesel heater to one of the Wolfpacks
Yeah,
cases,
yeah.
and I want to do that over there. But they make and build all these kits and set them up, the dual battery stuff like that too. So,
Hmm.
I don't think that's. I may be wrong, but I don't think those two are set up on their website. May be wrong there, but in
Hmm.
terms of Christmas presents, you guys, there you go.
Hmm.
Something else to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I did a morning minute. I threw in some morning minutes with the professor. That's how I kind of started the whole podcast, was to just sit down and get some stuff off my mind, just thoughts that race through my mind. I love to write. I'm not really a big talker, so I'm not really sure why I'm into podcasting, but it gave me an avenue by where I could just sit down and talk. And so I threw a couple morning minutes in there called the Storyteller, and that was based off of my experience with Scott, and one of the first people that I met while I was overlanding, and one of the people that's taught me so much. A guy who has a story for every single event that could come along, and just one of the greatest guys, best man in my wedding. Cooks, showed me a lot about disc cooking, and just about everything. So that was
I
kind of what
am,
it was based off.
buddy. I am so glad that you and I are friends, and I've gotten to know Scott through you, and I could just sit at camp and listen to his stories for hours.
Yeah, he's
Just
got
a
some good ones.
super awesome guy. So
Yeah, agreed, agreed. And then after that, G and I did our first sit down. It wasn't a live video, but we sat down in her apartment and talked about our trip to Santa Fe that we did over Thanksgiving. That was one that I was really testing the waters. She's a really good thinker, talker, really good on her feet. So I wanted to just visit with her and get some thoughts about a his and hers type conversation about, because we go on a lot of these trips together, camp out together. It's nice to get a female's perspective.
yeah,
And for that trip, that's what I wanted to do. So that was really nice to sit down with her. And then we did one called Her First Overlanding Adventure. And we did that on when we went down to Big Bend last December. That was the first time she had ever slept in a rooftop tent, first time she had ever experienced me actually cooking outside and not having a place to stay every night, having to find that. And she talked about her thoughts on that. So
and she's
that's a really
hooked.
good one.
And she's hooked from that
She's
trip.
hooked.
Yeah,
She's hooked. Loves it.
yeah.
That was a really good one. So you should look that one up and go back and hear what she has to say on that. So um, right along that line, we went on a camping trip on the Buffalo. This was in February, so it was cold. I think it got down into, I don't know if it got into single digits, but it was probably 12, 13 degrees, something like that, when we camped with Scott and the Old Man Fish Camp um, down there. It got cold.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was pretty cold. I think it was cold enough that I even had to wear pants that one night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I've got some pictures of you in pants down there.
yeah. There's some photo evidence of it somewhere, but I don't know. It seems like it was 16 or 18, 15, 12, somewhere in there. But um, it was cold.
Yeah,
That first
it
night
was
was
cold.
really cold.
Yeah, I know. I ran the diesel heater pretty consistently that night.
Hmm.
And when we got back from there, we started up a series called "What's Cooking," and we started out with breakfast and talked about what we like to cook for breakfast, and people gave us their input on what they like for breakfast. So that podcast is out there. It's called "What's Cooking." It was in February of this year. And then I did another morning minute called Mine, and really talking about putting others ahead of yourself. When my kids were small, everything that they had, it was like somebody would want to play with, and they say, "That's mine, that's mine, that's mine." Well, sharing, caring for other people, I just kind of put that into words. So I know everybody who has kids has experienced that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the movie A Christmas Story, Ralphie's little brother.
Yeah,
He sees the fire truck under the truck. Oh wow, fire truck, that's mine.
yeah, mine, mine,
Yeah,
mine.
mine, mine.
In March, I did one on kind of a big deal. We did another live show called "What's Cooking." We did lunch.
Hmm.
People gave us their lunch stuff. This is when we talked about how Gia and I love to picnic and do light stuff. People gave us their
Leftovers.
input on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
leftovers.
Mm.
That was good. And then Gia and I sat down and recorded one called "Dating an Adventurer." Um, she grew up living in the outdoors. She was an Army brat, and she was a hiker, backpacker, led a lot of girls' trips out into the wild and stuff like that. But as far as vehicle-based camping and being joined with somebody who loves the same things that you do,
Right.
we talked about that. So that was pretty special to me. I really enjoyed that. Um, and then we did the "What's Cooking," the last one for dinner. And this is where we got pretty extravagant on
Right.
the things that we did. Talked about recipes and different things like that. So that was
Hey,
pretty.
hey, dinner's a big deal.
It is. It's a big deal.
Hey, you know
Um,
what the big pickle said to the little pickle?
what's that?
I'm kind of a big deal.
Gosh.
It
Dad
just
joke of the
reminded me
week
of
brought to you
yeah,
by Oakley
yeah.
Overland. Oakley Overland in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Go there for all your overland needs. Thank you for the dad joke of the week. And let's see. Man, we had a good one after this because this was right about the same time. This was right when we got back from Go Explorer's Ouachita trip. We did one on the Ouachita trip, and I entitled this podcast as Food, Fun, and Flash Floods. And let me tell you, that's a good one to listen to. If you can go back and see the pictures from that trip, that was the most rain in a short period of time I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
We were totally and completely cut off from everybody. You actually made it to the camp where Danielle and Gia and I were, um, but everybody else had to go find another campsite because we were completely cut off.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
that.
I ditched a group. I was coming to camp.
Was,
Yep. Sorry, guys. Sorry,
I
everybody
appreciate
that
you.
was there. I
I
was going to camp.
appreciate you getting there. And fortunately, we knew the weather was coming, and so we picked a really good spot because Gia and PJ and I we pretty much sat under the overhang there at Fork Mountain and was able to be outside. We weren't cooped up in a vehicle. We weren't in a tent or anything like that. But I do remember looking over and seeing the gigantic bow of water on my awning that I had to go over there and push off before it broke it in half.
Yeah.
So that was, I think Danielle wrote it out in her tent, but everything that we owned was wet. It was, but um, the next day when we went to that next campsite right there by the water
That little
on
lake.
the lake,
Yeah.
such a beautiful spot. And then the next day after that was when I proposed, and so that was a pretty special time.
That's
So
right.
anyway, that was in March. In April, we had one on keeping clean. We talked about what we use to keep clean, the showers, the shower wipes, different things like that, or if being clean is a big deal. To some people, it's not. And I've
It
camped
is a
with those
big deal.
people.
It
The
is.
guys I backpacked with didn't carry, we were out there for 3 days, 2 nights. They did not carry any more clothes than what they had on. I don't know how they did that. That would drive me insane. Tate Davis
Ew.
from Okie
Tate.
Overland, we just mentioned you. In fact, you sponsored the dad joke of the week. We appreciate you doing
Yep.
that.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. Overland Spices, I believe, is having a huge deal right now, half price. I don't know if they're still having that, but anyway, get with Tate. He can get you your spices by Christmas. I promise.
Yep.
Over now.
Yep.
And after that, we did Chris from More Expo. We went to More Expo, and then we did the More Expo recap. Now, More this year was very interesting. Both of us were in the same booth. I was in the booth, and then you got in the booth last minute. Totally had to change your plans to get in the Rhino Rack booth.
Yeah, I had to bum a ride the whole weekend.
I was setting up my stuff in the Rhino Rack booth, and I introduced you to the Rhino Rack guy, and he's like, "Hey, you want
Like,
to be in the
yeah,
booth? We got a spot."
yeah.
You're like,
And I was like, well, yeah. I mean,
well,
the answer is yes, but then I'm in my back of my mind. I'm like, okay, so how am I going to get back and forth to where I'm going to sleep?
that was
And
interesting. Definitely
yeah,
made for an interesting week, but
so actually, I guess both you and I were bumming a ride with Gia.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
That was a hard working weekend because
hmm,
G and I both were working in the Go Explore booth with Danielle and Bryce. You were out doing with Lady Overlander Radio and all that out there, weren't you?
yeah. I
You
was bouncing around,
yeah,
doing different things, and Arlo was too. And I went out to, I think,
storytellers. Hmm.
yeah, storyteller. I was out. I went out to Okie Overland's booth, and after it rained 5 inches in the parking lot,
Yeah,
um, they were all just soaking wet. So yeah,
yeah.
it was.
That was the second flood that we've been in. We actually met Joe and Misty at a Mexican joint, and we came and it started pouring while we were there, and we come back into the time when all the water was running off. I think Tate told me that they had like 5 inches of
Mm,
it was about 5 inches deep in their booth out in the parking lot. So yeah, we came back right in the middle of that. It was something.
it's just amazing how that much rain can build up that fast, and on a flat concrete, asphalt parking lot.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah, unbelievable. So we came back and did the More Expo recap when we got back from that in April. In May, we did a live with Oscar Mike Overland. We talked about what they do for veterans. And then we got ready for our spring camp out. We did one on getting ready, and then we did one on the listener recap, repeat, recon after our spring camp out. That was pretty fun. We went down on the Buffalo River down in Willem, and had several people show up. The Old Man Fish Camp came. We had quite a few listeners that came. Matt came, and he and G and I actually floated. Uh, um, let's see, who was it?
Rhino took that
Rhino
one
gave us the ride.
upstream. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That was pretty cool. It was warm, man. It was warm. I think I ran the zero breeze that night. Stayed really cool. One of the first nights in our taxa trailer,
Yeah.
and that was pretty cool. I know Arla was kind of upset that I had that, but anyway.
Yeah, we all heard about how that was. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be different next year. Probably
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be a
sure.
different situation.
I'm sure.
So
And then we did some gear talk on water. How much water you carry, how do you carry it, different things like that. I think you had just got a new thing to carry water, and you wanted to talk about that. So, um,
yeah, we have all the water.
yeah,
The water
yeah,
set up on the truck, and then which is 13 gallons. And then when the
mm,
trailer goes, we've got like 40 something gallon tank on the trailer,
cool.
or a series of tanks. But
Yeah, yeah, you definitely carry a lot of water. Um, and then I did one on our new overlanding trailer on the Texas Tiger Moth, which we have absolutely loved ever since we got it and have taken multiple trips in it. And it has been just a joy
yeah,
to have. It's been super cool. We did one on overlanding with pets. This was about the time that you started taking your dogs with you. When you and I first started camping, you always left them at home or got a sitter or took them somewhere, but you actually took the chance on taking your dogs with you, and you got to express that.
yeah. We took them a couple of times this year, but sometimes it's tough. Sometimes just depending on what you got going on. Like this last camp out with the weather forecast the way it was, I didn't want to deal with the wet
Yeah,
dogs and stuff like
yeah.
that. So they don't get to go every time, but
It was
yeah.
also about a little bit after I think we got PJ in March or
Oh, that's
April,
right.
and so we started taking PJ with us as well. And the way that she kind of adapted to the overlanding lifestyle and being outside and things like that gave us some pretty good material to talk about. Taking pets is very different. Where are they going to sleep? You got big dogs, and so if they're wet and you have to put them up in the tent with you, whoo, that's
Yeah, it's no bueno.
it's not good.
No,
No.
no.
Um,
And then the little ones like to bring the ticks to bed with them.
yeah, yeah. I remember y'all from Joe and
Yeah,
Misty's.
from
When
Joe
we
and
camped
Misty's
at Joe and
house
Misty's, you actually
for the
carried
weekend at
some tents
bonfire.
home. Hmm.
Oh yeah, I had ticks for a week. Found them in our bed at home. I'm like, come
Oh
on.
my goodness. Yeah, you gave a lot of ticks a ride home that weekend. That was pretty funny. And then we did one called Size Matters when it comes to tents. This is when you got the bigger 23-0 tent. It was the biggest
Yeah,
tent you've ever had. You
yeah,
traded one tent in and got another one, and it really made a big difference in comfort level for y'all. So that
yeah,
was pretty cool to talk about.
yeah. That
Um,
tent still is amazing. It's still like, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
I know you love it.
go
I know
check
you
it
love
out. Okie Overland.
it.
Yeah,
Okay, Overland. It is the 23-0
Armadillo
Armadillo
A
A
A3
three. Yeah, king size bed,
California King.
California king,
Yes,
which is
sir.
bigger than king. Yeah.
Yes.
And then when we were doing the pre-run for the Ozarks trip with Go Explore, I had a little issue with the FJ. Started getting a knock, and so I did
Mm-hmm.
one on breakdown and not so good news. Talked about how I really thought I was going to have pretty major engine work done, but it ended up being one of my headers had cracked, and so that was what was causing it, which still cost me well over $1,000. So It was just one of those things where we talk about. I've always on long trips been have it in my mind. I have to drive this thing home. I have to drive this thing home. So going out in Colorado, if I want to do this trail, I want to do this trail, but I still have to drive this thing home. And so that really weighs on my mind a lot.
Right. Yeah.
I see people trailering stuff out west. They don't have to worry about that. But, if you rip out an axle, engine troubles, I've got 230,000 miles on my FJ. It's constantly weighing on my mind. I still have to drive this thing home. So, anyway, that's what we talked. Then we took June almost to the end of August off. It was right up to the end of August. We took June, July, and almost all of August off, mainly because I got married, and that's kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. So you're kind of a big deal.
I'm not a big deal. That was a big deal.
That was
kind of a big deal. Yeah,
that was a big deal. Yeah.
June, we got married. After that, we did. After I did a work trip to Indianapolis for a week, we came as soon as I got back. We left and did 13 states in 6 weeks, I believe, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and had an amazing time going up Michigan, UP, up into Minnesota, and just had an amazing time. It was kind of a mixture of overlanding, staying in cabins, different things like that. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, down here when it was hotter than Satan's armpit, you were up there enjoying a fire, morning fire in the stove with your Logic Overland coffee and your whatever.
Yeah. Well, it was so nice to me when we got to Minnesota. It was the 22nd of it was 21st of July or something like that. And it was the high that day was like 46. And we built a fire in the cabin and I was like, this is heaven. This is heaven. I love it. And so, just to take you out of your one set mind, you don't have to go to higher elevations and go out west during the summer. If you live in Arkansas and you know how hot June and July gets, you can go north.
Just go north.
You can go north of Michigan, the UP. We camped on the edge of Lake Superior and had a fire in July. That's so stinking cool.
Yeah.
So cool. So
one of these days.
One of
these days I'll go. One of these days you'll open that big luggage box on the top of your truck and I'll be there.
You're free to hike along anytime.
Yeah.
Really, anytime. So in August we came back and it was kind of funny because we had been gone for 2.5 months and people were like, "Hey, did y'all quit doing a podcast?" I'm like, "No, we just took some time off. We're traveling, doing this. We'll catch up. And so we did one at the end of August called "Where You Been, Bro?" And we talked about what we'd been doing. So if you want to know all the details about my trips and Tony being in Arkansas and being hot, you can listen to that one. That was in August.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, and I know you is. I don't mean to jump ahead, and I know you've got big plans for next summer too, but I think I want to try to have some podcasts next summer and maybe have somebody on, or maybe just if I can get you guys on when you're traveling, so you don't have to worry about
that'd be awesome.
Setting up the show or something like this. Have you guys on as a guest?
I am going to talk about that here in just a minute. So
okay. All right.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
All right.
September, we did the Kentucky Adventure Tour to go explore. You actually rode with me out there. First time that you had rode in a different vehicle other than your own. So that was pretty cool. A whole different way of seeing and experiencing a trail like that.
I was a homeless person for the whole weekend. So I had to
I provided you a home. It was a nice
you provided me a great home. I was homeless and you provided me a home. And I bounced around between your rig and Brad's rig, and it was a great time.
Well, I got some really good photos because I pulled my homemade trailer, and I was able to get some great photos of my tent and the trailer tent being popped up at the same time, which that was neat. you and I could say good night, John boy, because we were right there beside each other the whole time.
I could almost reach around through the window and high five you. Almost.
Oh my
Anyway.
goodness. And then while we were there, while we were on the Kentucky Adventure Tour, we actually did 3 recordings live, just sitting where we were, talking about the day experience, what you had experienced that day, and what I had experienced, because it was 2 totally different things. Us trying to get to the campsite, to get the campsite, secured and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you actually going out on the trail and doing the photography stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We had several of that, and that is on in September. When we got back, we went live with Brad from Go Explore to have him talk about the Kentucky Adventure Tour. Is it tour or trail? I keep asking you that.
It is tour.
Okay, Kentucky
They
Adventure
call it
Tour. They
tour.
call it the
Yeah.
CAT for short.
Yeah.
Had him come on and talk about that, and then it was in September, fixing to be October, so that kind of made us start thinking about winter setups, and so we started talking about the transition from summer to winter setups and what we have to do, what we have to put in, what we have to take out, because it's different, and so that's pretty cool. So that was a really good a lot of good information on that. What you put in, what you take out, the different clothes that you have to change into or change out of. Do you still carry a heater, or do you put a fan in there? Do you take your fan out? Different things like that. So that's
Do you, do you remember to take some pants? I mean,
apparently not, because shortly after that we went to rendezvous in the Ozarks, and somebody had to make a call to their wife and say, "Hey, bring me some pants."
yeah, that was
The next one we did was the first one in October. We had Exploring Arkansas on. We had Jason and Kate, and we talked about our favorite gear. This was kind of leading up to doing some Christmas shopping. A lot of people like to get started early on that, and so we talked about some favorite things that we had found throughout the years that we have that we never leave home without. So that was pretty cool. We did like a top 10 type thing. And so if you want to know that, if you need to get some last minute ideas on shopping, you could look that one up. Our favorite gear with Exploring Arkansas in October.
Yep.
We went live with Natural State Overland. So Randy and the guys came on and talked about Rendezvous and what we were going to expect different at Rendezvous this year. That's always fun with them. I did a morning minute called Staying Warm, because I'm always cold now for some reason. Then we did one on winter camping gear. So we did one on all the winter camping gear that we have, that we use, that we take, the different heaters that we like. I think we talked about differences between like buddy heaters as opposed to diesel heaters, and so stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I did another one called Others First. That was a morning minute, and then we did some live stuff from Rendezvous. We did day 1, day 2 with Rendezvous. We did a Rendezvous recap with Budget Overland. So Benji came on, and we did a Rendezvous recap with him. That's kind of what started the relationship that we've kind of built with Budget Overland. We've become good friends. We just did a camp out with them, and probably will continue to do stuff with them. That was a pretty cool time, pretty special time.
That was a great time. Just really honored, to have that many people show up. The listeners from all 3 podcasts, and just sort of have the opportunity to meet some new friends and camp and have a good time. That was really special.
I agree. Well, from there, we at Rendezvous. This was the very first time that we have done this, and I was pretty excited that we were able to do this. But we went around with the video camera and the recorder, and we got with Go Explore, we got with Pruitt Knives of Valor, we got with Rick from Natural State Overland, we got with You Can Outdoors, which that was so special to me. Super cool guy, always motivational about knowing your worth. That's his thing, is know your worth. And so if you are on Instagram or TikTok or the new one, whatever that is, he's always on there. He's got a post every day. You Can Outdoors, UCAN Outdoors. Great guy to follow.
Threads or whatever.
Yeah, Threads.
Yeah.
We got with Randy Putt. who that was special because he hardly ever gets on anything.
Well,
Uh,
we trapped him.
we tried.
We
I
trapped him in the side
I
by
made
side.
Rick
So
get out of the side by side, and I jumped in there with him and
yeah,
wouldn't let him out. So
yeah,
that's kind of how we did that. Logic Overland, that's where we met those guys. Now a sponsor of the show, best coffee out there. Super excited that we have teamed up with them.
yep,
CB Adventure Supply, he's always a trip to talk to. And then we did one with Lady Overlanders with Kara and Danielle. That was always pretty cool to have them on. Super ladies. And they are actually doing the Grit Grace Bells, is what they're. So make sure and give them a follow out there. They're going to be on the Rebel Rally this
yep,
next year. So they're
yep,
already doing some training on that. Danielle was actually in Conway visiting Kara this weekend. They went up to Northwest Arkansas and did a course on mapping and navigation using compasses and stuff like that. So they went on through a course with that. You can see that on their Instagram post. So make sure and give them a follow on that and follow them, support them on that. That's going to be pretty cool.
heck yeah.
Um, New Gear Black Friday deals. That was also in November. And then Gia sat down with me and did a couple. We did a fireside chat one night while we were camped on Lake Washita, and then we went to the Wegner Crystal Mines, and this was a cool thing for me. I was kind of dreading this, and ever since she and I got together, she was like, "We need to go to the Crystal Mines," and I'm like, "Digging for rocks, really?" And
Gross.
yeah, I'm like, "Come on, digging in the dirt, that's what kids do." But she's like, "Oh, we got to go. It's so fun." And we'll take this truck and they'll drop us off and we'll go here and we'll dig for crystals. And I'm like, crystals, they're not even really worth anything, are they? Crystals, not diamonds. You want to go to the diamond mine? She's like, no, you never find a diamond. You find crystals everywhere. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm married. I'll do what you want to do. And so we went up there. I was so excited. She was going to have a great time. And I got out there. I sat down in the shade with PJ. I had my book and I started reading and stuff. And I saw her over there digging. Next thing I know, 30 minutes later, I'm digging in the dirt. And I'm over here like, look what I found! Look what I found! This is so cool. And so anyway, she's got me hooked. We're gonna go back. I did another morning minute called Worth My Time. I did one called Thankful. This was around Thanksgiving. I think we did a live show on being thankful, what you're
Mm-hmm.
thankful for. We do that every year, and
Yeah.
that's something that we should do. We should be thankful, and not just in November either. Uh, so
Right.
then we did one where we exposed the winter campout cords. So that was when we were getting ready for the winter campout. And, it was one of those things where we're doing this. It's going to be December, the second weekend of December. We know it's going to be cold. It's probably going to be raining, wet, miserable. Well, we're going anyway. And we'll see who shows up. We had 40 rigs show up today.
I know.
So
I
stinking
know.
cool.
Such a great time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Let us know if y'all went, or even if you didn't go, you missed it, you couldn't go, or whatever. We want to do this again. Let us know.
Yeah.
Um, like, what are your thoughts on time of year? Should we switch it up? Should we go the same time? Like we did this year. Yeah, yeah.
Jeff, Jeff,
Jeff and
his wife came
and
by, did a
his wife
drive by,
came by.
stayed for a little bit.
Should we do it in like April, May? Maybe a little warmer weather. So let us know what you think.
Yeah. December came. I did one on Exhale. This is Morning Minute, and then the second show we did in December was a milestone. This was kind of a big deal because this was the first time that you did a show without me, and I just want to say what a great show that was. You had Benji on, you had the ladies from Lady Overlander Radio on, but you did a fine job, my friend.
Well,
I
thank
was
you. I
very
appreciate
proud.
that. I know you just have me on here because I'm handsome and everything.
Exactly.
But that one was fun and I enjoyed that
Well,
immensely.
I'm excited,
Appreciate
and
that.
that was kind of a last minute decision on your part. A lot of
Yeah.
times when my job gets in the way,
Yeah.
and I try not to have to work on Tuesday nights so we can do this, and a lot of times, you would say, okay, we'll just do it next week. We'll just do it next week. And then you texted me that morning and say, hey, how about I have Budget Overland on and Lady Overland Radio? And I'm like, cool. That's awesome. And so I was pretty excited. We got everything together, created the graphic, got it going, and had a lot of people join in. And it was good. And it was good. And I'm excited. I'm excited that, because we're a team. And I'm real excited about what we've got going because this is show number 62 for this year. We've averaged, even taken off June, July, and most of August, taking off 3 months, we've still averaged more than one a week.
Yeah.
And we have really put a lot of time into this. We've had a great mixture of shows, morning minutes, where I share what's on my mind. We've interviewed people. I've actually had my wife on. We've talked about trips we've taken, live interviews at shows, actually out at events or on the trail, and then you doing your very first show without me. So, Tony, you came on the show with me the very first time, October 28th, 2021. So we've been doing this more than 2 years together. The very next, you came on with Nathan Anderson right after Rendezvous. So I had you and Nathan both on right after Rendezvous. But I enjoyed having you on so much that I had you come back the very next week and we talked about rooftop tents. That that rooftop tent that we did show on November the 5th, 2021 is one of our top downloaded shows ever that I've ever had.
Wow.
So we've been doing this a little over 2 years. The very first Professor Bats and Friends show was January the 5th, 2022. So officially,
Wow.
you became a part of the show, not just a guest on the show, in less than a month, and it'll be 2 years. We
Wow.
talked right after our trip to Big Bend National Park together. And I looked all this up today because I found this interesting. Um, and in the middle of this year, we officially changed the name of the show to the Overland Podcast.
Yeah.
And so I love seeing where we've been and how far we've come in the last year or the last 2 years. We've done over 115 shows in the last 2 years. And so,
Wow.
my very first podcast I recorded sitting on my front porch, July the 18th, 2020. And so, July of this next year, I'll be doing this for 4 years. And I talked about the difficulty of overlanding with pets. That was the very first one that I ever did. And now, 3.5 years later, 80,000 downloads later, we're still going. And I'm very excited about 2024. I think it's going to be cool.
I am too, dude.
Yeah.
It's been a
We've
lot
got a
of
lot
fun.
of events planned. We've got a lot of trips planned. We've got great sponsors who keep us going, who hopefully will continue in 2024. And I think we've got a lot of people out there. We're in, like, gosh, I don't know. We've been downloaded in over 30 countries so far. So
Wow.
it's it's pretty cool to see what two guys from Arkansas can get together and talk about outdoor stuff, and people are interested. And that just that's so cool to me. So
Yeah.
cool to me. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with you. And
I
anyway,
am too, man. It's been a
yeah,
lot of fun.
it's been a lot.
Hearing you say that, I'm kind of reminiscing a little bit because yeah, I didn't realize, over 100 shows
Yeah,
in 30 countries.
yeah,
Um, what's the word for that? Is it kind of surreal?
yeah. It's kind of humbling.
Yeah.
Kind of it doesn't seem like it would be possible that you could just put something out there. You could get a microphone and a computer and start talking about stuff, and people will be interested. But I love doing this. I appreciate everybody who joins in every week. Appreciate everybody who listens on all of the podcast platforms because I download this. There's a lot of work that goes into this. We don't just show up here and talk about nothing. But
Yeah.
I download this. I put it on the podcast platforms the next day. Try to get it out there. Thank you for following us on Instagram and on YouTube, whatever. And we're excited about what we have in store for this next year. And I just wanted to say thank you for joining us and for being here every single week. We love doing this.
Yeah. Love you guys.
Love you guys. So here we go. We're going to be out probably for the next week or so. I may jump on next week if we can find some internet down in South Texas. They haven't really discovered it down there much. But hey, if you want to have somebody on next Tuesday, I'll jump on. But it's up to you. We'll see.
All right.
Never know.
All
right. Well, anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you have some time with your family. Spend some time with your family. You're not always going to have this time, so take advantage of it and get together. Tony and I and our wives are getting together on Friday night because that time is precious. You don't get that just every single day. So anyway, Merry Christmas to you all, and a Happy New Year. We'll be back. Join us in 2024, season 7. Here we go. Be looking on the Gaia maps.
Yeah.
GAIA maps.
Yeah.
You would notice that we are a heck of a long ways from where we started and from where we're going.